Easy Explain Pragmatism by William James. Introduction Overview. So here we're going to kick off a huge field in school of thought known as pragmatism, starting with William James, one of the original founding thinkers. Really just an introduction to him, an overview of his life and times. So William James was born in New York in 1842 and died in New Hampshire in 1910. Spent a lot of his time in the Northeast and New England, right around the turn of the 20th century, really kicking off 20th century American philosophy. You may have also heard of his brother, Henry James. He was a novelist. His biggest book was probably The Turn of the Screw. A bit of a little horror mixed in there. It's a psychological thriller a bit. But, he was also known for a lot of other books, too. William, though, keeping it focused on William, he was a professor at Harvard. He started off teaching physiology. He was kind of going down that medical route. From there, he pivoted into the mind. He got into psychology. And then from psychology, he got into philosophy. It was a pretty cool progression of interests and topics. In addition to just teaching, he did a lot of work, a lot of foundational work in the psychology of religion. You may have heard of his book, The Varieties of Religious Experience. Huge book really kicking off that field. And his philosophy is otherwise known as radical empiricism. It's kind of adjacent to pragmatism. It's just all hands down on empiricism, that everything we learn is through experience. He's kicking rationalism completely out of the picture. But in 1907, he publishes Pragmatism. The subtitle of this book is a new name for some old ways of thinking. So, he wasn't taking full credit for coming up with all this from scratch. There was at least a pre-existing pragmaticism of his predecessor, Charles Sanders Peirce. Our next video is actually going to look at Peirce and the foundation that he set here. So before he died, just 3 years later, in 1910, so James has a very fruitful, productive final few years. He writes a lot of books, major works, that are still today very influential in psychology, philosophy. Still a very influential person even towards the end of his life. So I'd like to wrap up this one before we get into pragmatism and pragmaticism of Peirce a little more properly. Just like look at the Dedication of Pragmatism, the book by William James. He kicks it off by saying, "To the memory of John Stuart Mill, from whom I first learned the pragmatic openness of mind, and whom my fancy likes to picture as our leader, were he alive today." So we've already covered Mill. We've looked at utilitarian philosophy, a huge influence here for James. But that's just an intro to James, his work, his life, his times, an overview for now. Next we'll be getting into Peirce as the foundation here. But for now, hope this helps.